Instant Nigeria Info. My name is Ifeyemi Andrew, and let's quickly get into our conversation this morning. We would be speaking with the National Assistant Secretary General of the NLC. On the show this morning, Mr. Chris Onyeka is with us via phone. Mr. Chris, good morning. Hello, Mr. Chris. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, my brother.
All right,
it's good to be here.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Quickly, the conversation really, I mean, a lot of people are looking at the protest yesterday. Labour has been very vocal with regards to electricity tariff, demanding for a reversal, and certain agreements we heard were reached after the protest yesterday within Labour. We hope that this conversation will give us an idea into what the agreements that Labour as its leadership arrived at after yesterday's protest and what the way forward is from now. But first, we would like to know why Labour was is very interested in this increase in electricity tariff. It is not like this is the first increase we're seeing. There's an increase in petrol. Subsidy removal happened there. There's the high level of inflation across board. A lot of other things that perhaps many would look at in the system and say isn't working, and are wondering why perhaps Labour did not take this sort of approach it's taking now for electricity tariff. So is there something particular? Why is Labour very vocal about electricity tariff increase?
My brother, I think we are all Nigerians, and if anybody says that he wonders why the Labour movement in Nigeria is taking a hard line on the issue of electricity tariff, then perhaps the person is not a Nigerian, because these all the actions, anti-workers, anti-masses actions of government throughout the decades have always been engaged by the trade union movement. That is historical and that is well documented. And so it's not surprising that it will not be surprising to anybody that understands the dynamics of our relationship with the governments in various governments in Nigeria, that this is what is expected of us by Nigerian workers and by Nigerian people. When this government announced in May 29th last year that they were going to hike the price of petroleum PMS, the trade union movement engaged that government, and that engagement produced certain results. And in all processes, we have been engaging this government. And so, this tariff, remember that cyber security levy was also planned.
But there wasn't protest.
It's not we wrote a letter. We immediately engaged the government, and the government was forced to back down on cyber security. They were forced to back down because we were the ones that led the charge. And then when we had issues on currency issues, the cash scarcity, we were the ones that engaged the government, and CBN government leadership and the rest came to the office, and we had an agreement. We told them what to do so that the cash issue would be resolved, and they began to implement some of those things, and we saw the thing easing up. So it's our responsibility. It's our historical responsibility. And this one, the issue of electricity tariff, when it was raised, we have written letters to the federal government, to the power ministry. We have written letters all around, telling them of the consequences of increasing electricity tariff, because it's going to have a negative multiplier on many other aspects of the nation's economy. We mentioned each of them. During the May Day speech, the Nigerian Labour Movement also highlighted these issues, of the electricity tariff and how negatively it's going to affect Nigerians and Nigerian economy. We highlighted all of those. And then the government did not listen. We also highlighted the issue of the illegality of that particular hike, because we know that the law that set up NAC, the National Electricity Regulatory Commission, mandates it before you hike or before you change the price of electricity tariff, you must consult with the stakeholders. That is the law. But in this case, it was not done, meaning that particular decision to hike the price, the electricity tariff, is not only immoral but also illegal. And we pointed all of this out and asked them to reverse revert to the original tariff. And if then you want to adjust tariff, we can all sit down and then discuss it so that the law will be complied with. And then when it was not done, we decided that we were going to go, after we have given them the mandatory ultimatum, notice that we're going to go on this protest. We went on this protest as a sign, as a message to the government of what we may be compelled to do if they refuse to revert to 65 naira, which was the original tariff. And so that was a signal. It was a message. It was a one-day protest across the federation to send a strong message to the federal government, to the power ministry, and to NAC, and to the discos, that it is no longer business as usual. And this is the hike in electricity tariff is immoral. It speaks to insensitivity of the people.
Is Labour concerned about the increase, or the fact that the increase was not done with due process, or is it a situation of, well, we are not seeing the services that would even warrant for increase in tariff?
It is not only that it is illegal. It's like I said, it is immoral. When we say that something is immoral, we're talking about a people that are already overtaxed. We're talking about Nigerians that are already suffering. And then suffering. Instead of alleviating their suffering, you impose more tax on people. That's unacceptable. Governance is about relieving the people of their burden. The governance is about, making sure that the welfare of the people are taken care of. Governance is not about inflicting, burden, suffering on the people, every other day. We believe that it's a tax, it's a hike, too many that has to be stopped. That is one reason. Do you know why the law says that you must engage the stakeholders before you adjust electricity tariff upwards? Because the law wants all the parties to sit down and discuss the consequences of such action. It is when we sit down and discussing the consequences that we now say, this is why you should not do this. The people are suffering. You cannot do this. So the law wants us to sit down so that all the stakeholders who are going to be affected by such adjustments, we bring on board, we bring on table what the issues are. That is why the law made that pronouncement. And since it was not followed, we were not given the opportunity to tell the policymakers why what they wanted to do was not right. Why what they wanted to do will be negative to the economy. And so those are the reasons why we said no, that this will not be allowed to happen. We cannot allow a reign of impunity in our nation. And this is one of the recklessness of those in government, and that begins to speak to the fact that they believe that Nigerians are a conquered people. So that Nigerians do not have a voice, that Nigerians anything can be imposed on Nigerians without anybody raising a whimper. We are committed to ensuring that this does not happen.
All right. It then brings us to the reports that Labour is threatening for an indefinite protest. Is there any fact in this? Is this something that was discussed within the executives after yesterday's protest? What was the resolution Labour reached after yesterday's protest?
That is the idea. The idea, like I told you from the beginning, that this is a message. This is a message we have sent to the government to sit up and reverse. That if that is not done, that we will be compelled to take further action. Having loudly sent the message to the government, we believe they have heard, we believe they have listened, and we believe that good conscience would compel them, into taking the right decision by reverting to that particular to the old price. But if that is not done, if they remain recalcitrant in a few coming weeks, we will be compelled to meet at a joint session of the NLC and TUC, where decision will be taken on what to be done. And you know that what to be done will be more compelling than what was done yesterday. So that is the idea.
As Labour also looked at perhaps trying to take action towards improving the situation of power. I mean, we are a country that needs way above 40,000 megawatts. to ensure that this country is well lit up. But that's not the case. We're struggling right now from between 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. In fact, sometimes you hear, national grid collapse and all of those. Why? And for many people, that seems to be the root cause of the problem, even. Not just the tariff increase, but we do not even see adequate power because we haven't been able to work around proper generation. Has Labour looked at this problem? Have you held conversations with GENCOs, with all the stakeholders, to arrive at what exactly is the problem and why is it not being solved, despite the amount of money is invested in that sector right from the Obasanjo time?
That's a very good question. The trade union movements have always been in the forefront of engaging government, members are the key workers. Our members are the key workers in that particular sector. And we know that particular sector more than even those in government. We know the sector. The National Union of Electricity Employees, are workers in that sector. SAEC, they are workers in that sector. So they know the issues better than those in government. And when the issue of privatization came up, these particular unions clearly told Nigerians what the consequences will be, if the privatization of the sector was allowed. But many people did not listen, just like we are talking about the issues in Nigeria today. And many people are trying to play politics with it. They want Nigerians that we are going to pay a huge price if we allow the privatization process to go on. But nobody listened to them. And they allowed it and protected themselves. Today, down the line, decades after the privatization of that sector, they have not exceeded 4,000 megawatts. That was what was handed over to them. They have not exceeded 4,000 megawatts. But the funny thing is that Nigerians have kept on paying, increasing rates, increasing tariffs, based on the same 4,000 megawatts that they receive. That these particular discos and GENCOs were handed over to before privatization. And so you ask yourself, why would we be paying increasing tariff for the same amount of electricity over the years? Now you ask yourself, why would we have this problem? First of all, we have asked that the tariff should not be cost reflective, but should be service reflective. After all, it is what I receive that I should pay for. What I pay for should not be based on what you, as the supplier of electricity, on how much you think you have spent to supply me electricity. No. It has to be based on what you supply me. What you give to me is what I should pay. So it has to be service reflective. We are paying for value. Our value is not going to be dependent on your carelessness. The value is going to be dependent on how well you serve us. And so we are now telling them, it should not be based on cost reflective. It should be based on service reflective tariff. And that is what we have been advocating for. Why is it that the situation will not change? We have told Nigerians and we have told the government that the situation will not change. I'm coming. The situation will not change because the people that sold the electricity companies are also the people that bought. The same people that sold it were the same people that bought the companies. And as long as that is the situation, we will not have a solution to the problem that we have at hand. Unless, coming to the question that you wanted to ask, unless we as a people decide to review that privatization agenda with a view to reversing it. Because the privatization exercise was supposed to bring in technical know-how, was supposed to bring in funds, was supposed to bring in technology. But I tell you, none of those things happened. It was supposed to bring in new capacity. None of those things happened. Generation remains stagnant. Expertise remains stagnant. No FDI came in. Rather, they borrowed money from the banks in Nigeria to run the. So you find out that most of the discos are now owned by the banks. The banks are taking them over.
All right, Mr. Chris. Just hold your thoughts there. Let's take a very short commercial. We'll continue after the commercial.
Luxury Gardens and Luxury Gardens. Wow.
to my guest, the National Assistant Secretary General of the NLC, Mr. Onyeka. Thank you for staying on the line for us.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
Okay. We're still trying to discover all that is surrounding the protest we saw yesterday and the demand by the NLC for a reversal of the electricity tariff. How much of a success was that protest, and what is the way forward? Meanwhile, on Facebook, which are you most worried about? The increase in electricity tariff or the unavailability of adequate power supply? On Facebook, let us know what your thoughts are at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. Furo Nicholas says, we need peace in the state. After election, there's always crisis. Let's give peace a chance. This person says, the responses doesn't have. Okay, the call for reversal of the tariff is a welcome one. Honestly, the poor masses are suffering in this country. Which way, Nigeria? This one says, well done. The light's been given to us here in Bogije since over 2 months. It's too high and it's destroying our appliances. We use this medium to ask them to give us. Okay, I think you meant the voltage you think it's too high? Okay. All right. But let me get back to Mr. Onyeka quickly before we open the phone lines. So, Mr. Onyeka, you were trying to tell us why the situation might not improve and will not change within the power sector, and why we have continued to go back and forth with the national grid and the issues with generation of power, and even sometimes issues with poor infrastructure for the transmission company. The list goes on and on. Now, the question is there some sort of ultimatum you are giving to the government to say if this is not sorted out, we are beginning our indefinite strike immediately? Is there a time frame established?
That will come after we have waited for a week and we didn't receive any concrete response from the government. Then, like I told you before, if you had listened very well, NLC and TUC will meet in a joint session and decide on the timeline whether we are going to give 1 week or 2 weeks ultimatum to the federal government to ensure that something happens. And if nothing happens, there will be a nationwide strike.
All right,
like I said, what happened yesterday? What happened yesterday was a message that has been sent to the federal government to do the right thing for Nigerians.
All right, and then quickly, just before we open the phone lines, are we expecting similar approach from Labour with regards to the functioning of the refinery? Because we understood that certain agreements were reached. Remember, during the last year, a mother of all protests, which it was supposed to be, it was christened mother of all protests. Unfortunately, didn't last that long because of the agreements that was entered into between the government and Labour. And the refinery was one of them, Port Harcourt refinery. But we've continuously seen the shift in dates as to when that refinery would work. In fact, recently in Rivers State was a fire due to an accident that occurred along that area on that road, which is in a very bad state. And the refinery were beginning to even year end of 2024 before we would see the Port Harcourt refinery function fully, or even, and then in addition the Warri refinery and the Kaduna refinery. Is Labour worried about this? And are you going to apply the same approach you're applying now for electricity tariff?
This is our tradition. What we have done is in keeping with our tradition of engaging with the government across all issues. And so this one, the issue of the refinery will not be different. We entered into an agreement with the government and they told us it was going to happen by the end of last year. And we told Nigerians that this is what the government says will happen and that we are going to hold the government accountable to that. But the responsibility ought not to be that of the trade union movements alone. The media must also show responsibility in this regard. Because when we were telling Nigerians that the government was actually not telling us the truth, that we know the state of the refineries, because our members are at work in those places and they keep on giving us information, updating us on what is going on there. Some people are trying to play politics. Some people are trying to talk about Labour Party, this one, that one, and we're laughing because we know what the issues are. So everybody, every Nigerian that is feeling the pinch, that is feeling the suffering, that is also involved, should also have a responsibility of assisting the trade union movement and the civil society organizations to hold government accountable. That is why governments, year in after year, are taking Nigerians for a ride. We must all come together so that we can engage government with the facts.
That stop labor from organizing its workers in that sector to say no work until we have a clear direction on what is going to happen with this refinery? Remember, this would not be the first, this will not be the second, or this will not be the third time.
Engaging government or other governance structures in Nigeria, we have always engaged them like this. The way what happened yesterday. So in every sector, we are engaging them, and nothing will stop us from engaging government in the issue of refineries, especially the issue of the cost of petroleum products. Okay, we will continue doing that. It's our responsibility because it affects our salaries, it affects our members. So it's our responsibility. We're not shying away from that. So when the time comes, I was talking about the media, so that the media would help us interrogate the situation so that we can engage government effectively and get results for Nigerian people.
Does this also include the Dangote refinery and the price of diesel? Because I mean, there's been plenty of conversations around the price of diesel and why it shouldn't be as expensive as it still is.
We have said a lot of things about petroleum products in Nigeria.
No, from the Dangote refinery now is what
the federal government. If we have paucity of refining capacity in Nigeria, but there are people, men and women, who are refining products and bringing out AGO, okay, or are bringing out diesel from the creeks. Why label them illegal refineries? Why not regulate them? Why not license them and regulate what they are doing so that we can have sufficient diesel? But they said no. We have profiled a whole lot of ideas on what should be done over the years, not just now. The CNG buses they were talking about was our idea. It's not the idea. Even the people in government did not know about CNG. The people in this present government didn't know anything about CNG. We were the ones that brought it up and told them, and they asked us what it meant, and we explained to them. And so we will continue engaging the Dangote refinery or all the stakeholders in the downstream and upstream refining sector to ensure availability of products in Nigeria, and not just availability but accessibility of the product to every Nigerian worker and Nigerian people, so that it will affect our economy positively. All
right, let's get on to some questions from the listener. 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, 0817 923 0007. These are the numbers to call. I'll go over them again. 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, and 0817 923 0007. You can call us up on any of these numbers and make your contributions or ask your questions on Facebook at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. Which are you most worried about? The availability of adequate power supply or the increase in electricity tariff? You've been following my guest and some of the revelations he has made with regards to the power sector and why it will not change and what should be done if we want to see the change. Also, Francis said the call. Okay. Boadwa on Facebook says, truth be told, power supply sector does not have the capacity to provide power and have no plans to develop that sector. The decline did not start today and it will continue to go on a decline. The cycle of discussion will continue without any relief. Muriel in Onyeka, good morning.
Hi, Femi, good morning.
Good morning, Muriel. Go on.
Look, Femi, I really wanted to ask your guest.
Yeah, he's listening. Now. You can ask him the question. He's listening.
Yeah, why now? You know, why did you immediately hear these band A, band B, band C issues? Why now? And I want to please with them, please fear me. We collectively Nigerians, we are so tired of an NLC. choice do we have? What other choice do we have? You see this electricity tariff there? If Labour had resisted it, the way they are resisting this national security levy, and the way we resisted it from the outset, and it seems as even National Assembly, the presidency, the said it, if we had come up earlier to resist it, all these things would have happened. People take too much time before they come out to act. And this is when they act. There's so much, their actions do not even get to the end. There's so halfway. We have so much confidence in them. But I ask again, what other choice do we have? For me, I will support them. Let them go ahead with this. Because this electricity and this tariff issue is wrong. If they want to burn everybody, they should go to production areas. This places that they produce, all those eyes of the production, don't burn them. You don't go to every Nigerian and begin to burn them and begin to put us in different groups. What are they doing? But people should go on. If they can, they should.
All right. Thank you very much, Miriam. Gloria from Odili Road. Good morning.
Good morning, Femi.
All right, go on.
Please, I pray that this Nigerian labor, this process should continue. Let me take, for instance, what I do is I'm selling Onyeka. In my shop, every 3 days, I recharge 10,000 naira units on my prepaid. Now, how people I am paying, at least I employ few workers I am paying that is working for me. My income for the week, let me just say my income for the week, the profit I make, is not up to 20 or 30,000 in a week. If I should be paying 20,000, more than 20,000 to recharge electricity, I don't even see the light. Then, what will happen to the people working under me? Will the business continue? Let me tell you something. When the common people, we don't have people that is going to speak for us. I don't know what to do. I went to electricity, their office. I told them this is what is happening. They said I should pack out of that area. This is what is happening in the country. People are so free. Even when you say, okay, I don't want to use electricity, let me go and buy fuel and be powering my girl. It doesn't work. So we are ready to please. They should not just back up like the way they used to do and just keep quiet. If they want us to come out, I thought that I will even see them anywhere and support them and go and protest with them. I didn't even see them in Port Harcourt. I don't even know where they are protesting from. Please, they should help us. On this one, they should not back up. They should not go back. Please, thank you. My name
All right, Gloria, thank you. Chima from Ada George. Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew.
All right, Chima, go ahead. All right, we lost the call from Chima. We'll go over to Maxine. Maxine is in Port Harcourt. Maxine, please turn down the volume of your radio set. Go on.
Good morning, Ekemi.
Good morning, Maxine. Go ahead.
Please, what I want to say, NLC. Why can't NLC impress on this government to reduce the cost of fuel? Just like the other lady said, NLC acts so slowly. It is not today they increase electricity tariff. Why this delay? Why not proactive? Why not be very, very active as to government policies and let them know that the Nigerian Labour Conference is watching? Now, it's a minute. I remember during the Buhari regime, the then Minister of Finance, Nana Usman, there's no other lady, she said that the electricity tariff has been removed and that they were going to remove petroleum subsidy gradually as they remove electricity tariff. What is the tariff now again for electricity? What sort of subsidy again are they bringing back? This government just have interested in just offering Nigeria market. Why can't Nigeria produce? Why can't we refine our fuel? This cost of fuel is because of our importation price. You can't import fuel price and therefore activity in Nigeria. We should refine.
All right, Maxim. Thank you very much. Ubani is in Elelewon. Good morning, Ubani.
Good morning, Mr. Femi.
You're welcome. Go on.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm in support of the NLC embarking on a strike regarding this increment on electricity tariff. The thing is, it's actually taking a huge toll on Nigerians. Honestly, like I'll use myself as an example. I work and I earn about 100K a month. I won't lie, when I came back from work and as at last month and this first week of this month, I've spent 80,000 naira on electricity alone. That is the truth. So it's actually taking a huge toll. If they want to go on back on the strike, to shut down everywhere, no problem. We will support them. Me in particular, I will support them. So they should go on with whatever decision they want to take, and let's resolve this whole thing once and for all. Because it's obvious that this President Tinubu's administration and they have their senators, they don't even care about the well-being and welfare of the poor masses in this country. They don't. That's my take on this.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Alali in Bonny Island. Alali, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Go ahead.
Yes, I want Nigerians and the Rivers people to understand something. Anybody you see in the realms of affairs in this our present day Nigeria, before he gets there, he has been compromised. They don't pick people that will give them problems, that will stand on their neck and say this is what would be and it should be. As your guest is sitting there, he knows the truth. He knows how he came to be a leader in NLC. They don't just pick anybody. Whoever they pick is somebody who will listen and who will play game with them. That is the Nigeria of today. So they should stop deceiving Nigerians. If they want these things to stop, they should really embark on a mass protest. Nigerians should come out. What is happening in Nigeria today cannot happen anywhere in the world, for God's sake. Nigerians are too docile. The government is taking the masses for a fool. And that's not just a fool. That is, they've made us incapacitated, unable to do anything. They've crippled our life. A country that is so gifted. The population is there, hardworking people, intelligent people, the resources are there. Why don't they bring most of these factories here? The transformer they are importing, all the materials, raw materials you need for transformer can be manufactured here. We have the raw materials here. Look at what is happening in the oil industry. How can a country that is so rich in crude, they will be importing refined product? Is it not a shame? Are these people normal? Are Nigerians normal? Are these leaders, are they normal? I wish we can really face this. I wish I have an opportunity to be in position to protest as a leader of this protest.
All right,
see what to be done. People are all gang ups. They are all thieves. There's no sincerity in them.
All right, Alali, thank you, but we'll be careful with the name calling. Especially with the thieves, please. Let's just mind the language a little bit, regardless of how upset we are with the situation. Ikechi is in Onyeka. Let's hear from Ikechi before we come back to my guest. Ikechi, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Femi Andrew.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
On the NLC protest against the electricity hike, as the former callers have said, it is a very reasonable protest. But sincerely speaking, have we all forgotten what NLC did to us several months ago? They've turned into an absolute joke. Look at how they handled the minimum wage, the hardship in the nation. We've seen all manner of things that has happened before with NLC. It's Nigerians since this week don't really have much hope in that idea. Let me be frank. And on the PhD situation, it is horrible that we will be buying power as costly as it is. These things happen because the gas tariff was raised and there was no need to raise that tariff. Then when the tariff was raised, we saw the increase in power. If it's a government that really cares about his people.
Ikechi, we get your point already, but we're already running out of time. We have to get back to the guests, so we wrap things up, unfortunately. Thank you. This message here for Handsome in Abba says, for me, Labour disappoints the people. We think Labour, we see them as a big organization. We should be able to hold the government accountable for most things. Pump price of petrol, hiking everything across the country. Hold the government to revise every policy that have put the people under suffering. And then SF Smart also says, please remind Labour that the refineries are yet to work. Chukwemeka Charles says, okay, we already had that one before. Ibn Abo, we'll get this one from Ibn Abo quickly before we go to my guest. What I really want is adequate power supply, 24 hours power supply. I don't care about what we pay. Adequate power supply, and I am good. Quickly, Mr. Onyeka, in under 2 minutes, your response. You heard most of the callers, and you're hearing some of them here also saying, we don't care about what we're paying if we have regular power supply. What do you respond?
I will quickly say one thing first. Anybody that says we do not care, okay, what we want is availability. We do not care about how much it costs. It's actually probably somebody that is in this government that is getting money from this government. That is the truth. When you talk of availability, you cannot talk of availability without talking about accessibility. Accessibility means affordability. Can the people afford what is available? If they cannot afford it, then that availability is useless. Do we understand? Production cannot be complete until it gets to the final consumer. How does it get to the final consumer? The final consumer must have access, must be able to afford it. If we can't afford it, it is useless. Okay. And and that is what we are saying about the availability kind of thing. The fact is that as it is today, electricity tariff is overpriced in Nigeria. What are we paying for what we are getting? For example, you are giving me estimated bill in my house. You want to give me estimated bill. So at the end of the month, you give me 50,000, 60,000. I will come and pay. For probably service that you gave me for 1 hour in a day, I will pay 60,000 naira. What is the meaning of that? See, the issues are very clear. All right. Nigerians must learn not to be shooting themselves at the feet.
Mr. Onyeka, time is already out of our hands. We have a commercial now.
Thank you, sir.
The Asian Council and the entire All Royal Kingdom cordially invites the general public to the presentation and official launch of the